So the first thing we're going to do to create this Sci-fi Scooter is to be able to get our reference. So I'm going to go to my file and go to first I think I'm going to use my reference. I will press Shift A. If you come in here, you see your image, you see your reference and your background. So you're going to use reference. But make sure before you do that, press 1 on your keyboard to go to the front view, and then you press Shift A, and then you add your reference image. So if you go to where you save your reference image, you can just simply uh, add it. So right now it's on your scene. So we have to go into the front view so that this will be in the front view and to be flat this way. So if you don't do this, any way you are viewing, if you're viewing this way, that's the way it will just come in flat and it will not look straight. So now for us to be able to create this, so first I'm going to start with creating the main part of the body. So you can actually start with the you can actually start with the main body, or you can also start with the tires, anyone you want to start with. So let's go on to get this here. So I'm going to press Shift A and I'm going to get in a plane into this place. So this plane is going to be a simple shape. So I'm going to enter into edit mode, press Ctrl R to add a loop cut. So if I move to the top here, it will actually give a vertical loop cut, and I'll click on it to accept it and then click again to accept the position. Now I can select here and just delete one side. So depending on the side I want to work on, so I can just delete this. So what I'm deleting is that I want to be able to add a mirror modifier that will be able to mirror whatever I do here, so that whenever I do this side will also appear the other side. So I'm going to just come in here and add a mirror modifier. So when you add a mirror modifier, you actually see that this is the y-axis, the green axis is the y-axis. So make sure you turn on the y-axis here. So once you turn on the y-axis, you see that it covers it for you. And now if you enter into edit mode, if you press A to select everything, let's get the smooth tool. You can be able to separate it if you want to. But because we want it to be together, we're going to turn on this clipping and we'll bring it together. Meaning that once you bring it together, it cannot separate. Just bring it together, leave it, select again, and you see that you cannot separate it again. So we need this to be clipped together. The next thing we want to be able to add, we're going to add a subdivision modifier to this, and you can be able to put Ctrl R and select this and just put this here. So right now we'll have, why I just added that additional loop cut. If you look at whenever I add this, you see that it's rounding it up. So we just want to just push this to this particular place here. Now let me save this work. I'm going to call this my scooter. So right now I'm going to get this part here, and I'm going to just press E to extrude this. And if you look at here, if I actually extrude this, you see that what it's doing here is that it's creating this part out of the floor for me. So I can be able to, now I'm noticing a problem. So for a while, I'm going to turn off this subdivision because it's actually messing around with the things I'm doing. So I'm just going to come in here and select this. So let me bring this down a bit to this place. So let's select here. I'm going to go E, and I'm going to bring this up a bit like this. There's another E. Let's select this and just flatten it a bit. Let's lock it on the x-axis, on the z-axis, and then we'll have something like this. Now if you look at this part is actually coming up because our x-axis is also turned on, so that's the reason why it's doing that. So we'll turn off the x-axis here, and we can just bring this up to here and lock on the z-axis. I'm going to bring this up to this side. So we can add a loop cut here and just pull this out to make it a bit more rounded, and also a loop cut here. If I'm going to add 2 here and make this one a bit rounded here. So this is the top, the forward part at the top here, and then this here is this part there. So we'll have something like this. So let's go and select this one at the back here. I'm going to press E and scale this back. Now if you want to be able to get idea of proportion, okay, one of the things we could do is that we could be able to get this, let's scale it up a bit and bring it close to this place so that it helps us to be able to plan out our proportion. Now it's not going to give us exactly what we are looking for, but it's going to give us an idea of what we are looking for. So I can be able to push this down to somewhere here. I'm going to add a new thing here. Over here I'm going to add let's enter into object mode, and I'm going to add a new object here. Let me see here. Okay, all right, so I'm going to enter into edit mode, and I'm going to add a new cube. So this cube is going to be for this part. So I'm just going to bring this up here, and I'm going to subdivide it to and remove this part. Add a loop cut to it, and then I'm going to remove this part too. So if you look at what I'm removing, it is actually still there. If you look at what's happening now, I've removed the extra part, but then the other part is still there. So because if you actually turn it off from here, you actually see that this is what you're going to be seeing. So if you turn on this back, you actually see this. So I have this particular thing here. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use this to create this object here. So now I can just select my top here, and I can bring this down a bit, and I would like to select under here and just bring this down a bit this way. So for here, to make it a bit rounded, I will put some loop cuts here, and I will just scale it out this way. And then hold Alt and click on this one and just scale this out this way. So we'll have something like this. For the bottom part of it, there is an extrusion here that is going down. So I'm going to select just the bottom. I think it's almost there. And I'm going to just do E, go down a bit, just go down a bit, and extrude it like this to actually form that platform that is below. Now whenever you want to select a part of this thing that is a bit different from the other one, you can be able to just enter into edit mode. Let's say for example I want to scale this. Now if you want to select all of it, it's going to be difficult. So what you do, you bring your mouse over this and press L on your keyboard. It will select all these connected parts, and now I can be able to scale them up and push them to wherever I want them to be. So I want them to be a bit bigger. Let me scale them up a bit like this. So for us to be able to have this curvy edge, So we need to put some loop cuts over here. So let's put some loop cuts here, and this loop cut we're going to actually select from here to here and there, and we can be able to pull this up this way, and this one too we're going to bring it down a bit like this, and this bring it down. So we're going to be having something flowing down here. So for the back here, I'm going to also curve it so that it actually curves down this way. You can hold this too and push it out a bit like this. So now we'll have something that looks like that. So let's call this our scooter. So if you look at here, we'll have a problem here. So probably we drew something without paying attention. We're going to select it and make sure we actually view it the right way, and we can be able to draw this out to the right place. I'll press 7 on my keyboard and make sure that everything is aligned properly. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to go on to add another one. So if you look at here, we'll also have another object. Now one other thing you can be able to do is that you can be able to create parts from another part. Let's say for example I want to create something like this. So what I can do is this. I can just simply come up here, use my face selection, select here. I'm going to hold shift, select here, 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 and here, because I want to use this thing to create the seats. All right, I don't want to create a new mesh. So what I'm going to do, I'll press shift D on my keyboard, and now if I duplicate and press Z to lock it on the Z axis, so I have a new object now here, on a new mesh here. So with this new mesh, I can actually be able to extrude it up like this, and you see I have something new. Let me bring it down a bit here. So once I bring it down, so I can be able to just scale it up. And now once I scale it up, I would like to leave the first one and then do a second one. This second one I'm going to select here and just pull it up a bit like this. If you look at what is happening here, I can be able to select these two and pull them up like that. So all you're trying to do is that you're trying to use different parts of your mesh to manipulate it to be able to fit what you actually want it to look like. So we'll have something like that. So I can bring this up a bit. Let me take it down, and this one you can bring this down a bit like that. So if you need something to be a bit curvy, you can be able to put a new loop cut somewhere, and you can just select that part and just pull it up if you need it to be up. We also need here to be a bit curvy. You can be able to just pull it up from here, put a loop cut and pull it up. So over here we'll see that we have something a bit too sharp, so we can select it from under here and we can be able to bring it down. If you look at the front here is a bit not so large, so we need to bring it a bit more closer. So what we're going to do, we're going to put press L with our hands, with our mouse over this, and then we can be able to actually scale this inside. If you look at what is happening here, we can bring it inside. And mind you, there are other techniques you can be able to use. So feel free, if you understand the concept, you can feel free to use your own technique to be able to, model distance to how you want it to be. So I'm going to put a loop cut here. Now I'm putting a loop cut here because I want to be able to select somewhere like here. Let me select here, and I can be able to just pull this. Now if I pull this, look at what is happening. It's pulling only that one. Now if I want to pull multiple things all at once, I'm going to use what we call proportional editing. So proportional editing is the ability to be able to select multiple things all at once and move them. So look at the option there at the top here. You can select it. If you click here, you can select only connected ones, but I'm going to just start with first. If you click and you drag, if you look at it, there's a round thing there. If you scroll back, you can increase what you affect. If you go down, you can decrease what you affect. If you look at what's happening, it's affecting fewer things. This one can affect more things. Now, but if you want to affect only connected things, you can be able to do this. So that means that it will be affecting only that top chair. So right now we can be able to do something like that, if that's what we actually want to do. So what we want to do now is we want to just bring it in a bit closer at the top here. Let's scroll this down a bit. So if you look at now, it's bringing everything close here. So we'll have someone that can be able to sit at this top here. Then we need to also put another loop cut here. And this loop cut is for dragging this one out so that it's going to be a bit more smoother. So I'm selecting each one and just holding shift, and you can pull it out this way. So if you look at now, if I'm using a proportion editing, look at what it's doing for me. It's actually pulling it and curving it for me out all at once. So if that's what I actually want, I can be able to use that. Now over here, if you look at the model, it has this curvy parts. My own is actually sharp, so you can be able to actually do that. And the way you can achieve that, if you actually select this way and pull, it's going to give you something like that. So but one of the things you could do is that you can be able to put some loop cuts somewhere here. I'm putting two loop cuts. So loop cut will enable you to hold this part of the model so that you can now select these ones from here to here and push it like this. Let's remove that. Let's press O. The shortcut for proportion editing is O. You can just press it and it will be activated. So if you actually put it this way, it can still be able to do the same thing. So if you look at here, this part is also curving. I think we also need to select here and here, and I think that's all we need to select. Just pull it up like that. So we have something that looks like this. So it's a bit more curvy now. So if we also want any other parts to curve in, you can be able to select that to curve it in. So we can select this part too and just push it in a bit like that, but that will be too much. I think I would like to use this one at the edge here and just pull it in like this. So we'll have something a bit more curved inside. Always remember to save all the time. So now we have this, and this scooter, actually the edge is actually coming close together. So we also select this part, and we can also select this top here, and we can push it in like this. So if you look at now, as you're pushing it, is because of this loop course, it's not pushing in. So you can press O to bring your push editing, and you can be able to scale up like this. You look at what is happening now, it's affecting everybody. So just that part. So it's doing something like this for us. So now I have something that looks like that.
So we can't see your screen, sir.
Okay, let's continue. All right, so now I'm going to go in here and create the next thing, which is actually the tires. So I'll create the tires before I actually create this thing that covers it. So for the tire, I'm going to create a new object. I'm going to click on my 3D cursor here. Then Shift A, I'm going to bring in a circle, and I'll press enter into edit mode. Select everything, press arrow, turn off your current editing, arrow X90. So we'll have it like this. So we can just go in and turn on our mirror modifier. We'll add our mirror modifier and also turn on our clipping on it. Also add a subdivision modifier on it. Now I'm going to try to get the size of that model. So I'm going to bring it closer to it so that we can be able to get the size of it a bit. Enter into edit mode, just scale it up to just a bit of the size. And now if I press E and Y and scale up and extrude, you see I have something like this. So let's see what's really happening. So if you go back here now, you see that this is in x-axis. So we can check what about y-axis. If you look at now, because this green axis is the y-axis, so it's going to mirror it on the y-axis. Whatever I do here will appear here. So if you look at here, I have something like this. So this is my tire. So this is the top part of the tire. I'm going to do under E and lock it on the y-axis, move it forward, and then press S to scale it in like that. I'm going to do under E, lock it on the y-axis, take it up, and I'm going to scale it in like that. So I have something like this. E, click to accept it, and then scale it in more. So right now I want to be able to get just something that will do a bit of things for me. So I'm going to just push this down, push it back a bit, just inside like that. So I'm trying to create this part that is coming out. So I'm going to so I'm just going to come in here and make sure you're still selecting. If mistakenly you deselect this, just come in here, hold your alt and click on one of these. It will select the entire edges around it. So you can now do E now, and I'll accept it by clicking, and then I'll scale it in like this. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to create this part. E, accept, and I'm going to pull this out just a bit like this, just a tiny bit. Then E, click to accept, and then scale it in like that. So this would be this top part that I'm actually creating now. Then another E, and I'm going to click to accept it and then push it in like that. I'm going to do more intricate stuff. E, click to accept, S to scale in for the inner parts. Now you can go into details and begin to actually click and do everything in details. So but I'm going to focus on a few things. E, click to accept, S to scale in, and I'm going to just move in a bit. So one of the things that we need is this things that are actually here. So one of the things I could do here is simply create it later. So I'm going to just press E and accept and try to merge these two together. So if you look at now, what you're going to see is something like this. So you can always do your auto smooth and you see your tire there. So if we want to be able to create some roughness here, we can actually be able to we're going to just create a bit of roughness, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to click on alt and click on this line here so that it will select all of this. And let me see what I have here. Okay, I have from here to here. Let me also select, hold shift alt and select here. So I have this now. So I need to do something. I will do what we'll call checker the select. So if you go to your select, after selecting it, you just go over here checker the select, so it will on select, it will just jump one and deselect. If you look at what is happening here, it's doing something like this. So if this is what you want, you can be able to actually do something like E and then scale it up if you want to. But if you don't like this, you can actually do one by one. So I can select this one first, do checker the select. Sorry, let me do that again. Click checker the select. What is happening? I think there is a problem from my extrusion. Let me do it again. Alt click to select, checker the select. Now I'm going to do, if you look at what's happening here, if I press E and click to accept, if I press S to scale out like this, you actually see I have something that looks a bit more like a rough kind of tire, and I think this is actually okay for us. So you can save that, and now let's go into creating this part of the tire, this thing that we'll have here. So one of the things that we could do is we can be able to borrow what we have here. So I would like to select this edge here. Let me select this part. Let me select the whole round edge here. Click everything here. And I'm going to now press Shift D and scale it down like this. So I have something that looks like that. So let me bring it down here. Now imagine if I wanted to actually add a face here. One of the things I could do, I want to start from the inner part and then go out. So I'm going to just scale this into the smaller part of this, and I'm going to select this outer part. Let me use my edge selection mode, select this outer part, and I'm going to press, I think it's still too small, so let me make it a bit bigger. Enter here, select outer part with my alt, and I'm going to do E, click to accept, and I'm going to just scale it in like this. So what I'm really doing is that I'm trying to create this part of the tire. So I'm going to do E, click to accept it, and then you can push it inside. Look at what I'm doing here, over here, this part. Then we can do another E, click to accept, and scale it in. Now, if you have your subdivision modifier turned on, you always see this kind of effect on your work. So, but don't worry, as you're modeling, you see that it actually gives you a very smooth stuff. Then I'm going to, please avoid doing this one now. We're going to do this one later. So we're going to come in here and add E, click to accept, and I'm going to just click. Let me see what it looks like, and I'm going to, I think I'll bring it out a bit to give it that bulging out effect. Click again, E, and then scale it in like that. So right now, I don't really know if there is a hole there, but I'm just going to pretend there is a hole. I'm going to leave that hole like this, so you have something like this. So we can build up these things later to actually cover that part. So if I come in here now, I can select this outer part, and I will press E, click to accept, and I will scale it out like this. So now I have this part that, if you look at here, it's actually going inside. It has this thing inside it. So I have something that looks like this. Now this is where it gets tricky, because you're not really seeing, I want to do something here, but I can't see anything happening inside here. So one of the things you could do if you have this kind of problem is that you can press your L over this guy. So if you see, once I select this one, let me just do that again. L is to select only this outer one, and I can press H to hide it so that I can be able to select what I'm seeing here. So that's one of the tricks you have to learn when you're modeling very complex things. So now I want to be able to have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me assume there are 6 of them, and I need to get that. So what I'm going to do now is, if you look at here, I have some edges. I can be able to select everything here. If you look at this now, if you do checker the select, it's not going to give you what you actually want. Let's say, for example, if I do checker the select, it's still going to give me something here, but that will be too much for me. So what I will do is this: I'm going to just randomly select over here. So I'm going to have 1 2 3 4 5, and then jump 4 lines and get another one. It should be 4 1 2 3 4 3 4, and then 1 2 3 4, and then get this one too. 1 2 3 4. So I have something randomly perfect here, not so perfect, but something here. I think 1 2 3 4 5 6. So let me take out this one and put it here, and this one I think I will put this one here. I think this one is a bit close. Let's go in here. I think there should be other ways of being able to do this. So but if you look at the problem we have here, this is actually appearing at the edge here. Okay, so it's coming too close to this place. So what I'm going to do, if you look at this thing here, it's actually at the center here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to put a loop cut, Control R, put a loop cut, and I want this to be in the center. I'll select, let me do that again. Okay, so if I have something like this, I'm just going to press E, click to accept, and if I scale up like this, S to scale up, you see what it will actually create for me. So once I do that, I'll press E one more time so that it will actually round it up for me. So now let me press Alt H to bring back this one. If you look at what is happening here now, but you see it's not up to where I want it to be. So I'm going to just S to scale it in. I just press Shift D or Control Z to bring it back. So I'm going to just scale it up like that. I'm pressing S to scale it up, and I'll press Alt H again, and this is actually inside here. So but unfortunately it's not actually straight, so probably there are other ways we can be able to figure out how to make it to be in equilibrium. So I'm not really seeing this part of it to actually see the way it's positioned. So but this is the best we can do for now. So once we have this, we can be able to have Shift D. Let me bring this down here. So just put this here. And we're going to create this part of it. So let me just bring it a bit closer to this part. Select here, and I'm going to select put a loop cut here because I want to cut off a part of this. I'm going to use it for my work. But let me use this part. I'm going to select this and this one and press Shift D. The reason I'm doing this is that I want to be able to use the same thing so that I have the same modifiers that I've used. Let's do it again. Shift D, and once you press Shift D, it will duplicate. So I have a separate thing here. So once I have this separate thing, I want to use this and just select this way and cover it. So I still want this to be part of this, just very close to it, but then it's going to be separate. So we can pull this one back now and have this one start from here and this one start from here. Let's push this back a bit. I'll press E to extrude it, lock it on the x-axis. I can be able to do something like this. Now, even if it's not straight, don't worry about that. We just want to get the rough part of it. So we just have something like this. So now we have the rough cover for it. We can now put a loop quartz and we can pull it up this way. And select here and pull this one up this way because we need it to be as curved as possible. Then over here we're going to also put some loop quartz here and just pull it out like that. So whenever you're doing something like this, you want to be able to curve different parts of it. So if there's a part that you need to curve more, like this part that you have here, we can also do that. So but it will warrant us to select it and actually push it out from this edge here. So we can push it out from here, put some loop cuts on them, and then pull them back like this. Now other ways you can do this is that you can do this build it from the tire, but unfortunately our tire is already we have already made it rough, so we cannot really use that for now. So I'm just going to roughly press L over this and just push it out a bit so that I can be able to have more control over this. Okay, so we have this now and we can be able to create um, this part. So I'm going to put a loop quartz just here. So I've added I think I'll start with one, Control R, put one loop quartz that will hold this here, and then I will select the other one, hold Alt and click here, and I can just be able to drag this down to have, and press S to scale it in. Just push it in like this. S to scale it in again. I think that's too much. Just bring it up to this place. So for this one, I can use my vertex selection mode and pull this out to here so that it will actually have that curved edge like this. And also do the same thing for the bottom part of it here. So any part that you feel like is not straight enough, you can always go back to it and select it and curve it more. Let me use this part to finalize this part of my design. So I think I need to make this, press L over this, and I think I need to make it a bit smaller like this. So this one needs to be in the center more like that. Now to make here to be a bit more curvy, we can, this part, press Ctrl R, put some loop quartz on it and just pull it out like that. So it's going to have some kind of curve on it. So you can also smooth it and see what it looks like that. So for these other parts, let me see what we have at the back. Okay, we'll have a very simple stuff at the back. So I'm going to press, before I duplicate it, when you're duplicating this time around, we're going to be doing, for this tire, I'm going to be doing, if you look at it, if you go to your object duplication, there's what we call duplication -D, but you can do duplicate linked, Alt D. although it means that whatever I do to this one will also affect this one later. So when I start putting my materials, whatever I do to this guy will also affect this one that is here. So it might affect it to an extent. Not that if you edit it, there is some things you do to this one, like changing the color of the material. It will also affect this one. So that's what we just did. We link both of them together. So we'll have this at the back here. You can drop it somewhere here. Now for the front part of this, there is the design that we have here. So this design, we're going to just quickly create it. So I'm going to come in here, put another loop cut just somewhere here, and add a second one somewhere here, and I'll use my face selection and select this face. I think I'll put a loop cut here to cut off this part so that it doesn't reach the edge like that. So use your face selection, select this face here, and select this one and this one and this one. So right now we can be able to just E to extrude this. So let's check whether it's actually happening the other side. Okay, it's happening. So we'll just extrude it out like that. Let's do an E and just scale it inside like that. Just scale it in a bit. I think I'll use my arrows here to scale it into this axis here. Something like this. And then just do another E. Just another E here and just push it inside a bit like that. Let me see if this is giving us exactly what we want. I can't really see this properly. Let me change this to our other view. So there's what we call matte cap view. So you can be able to actually use your matte cap to be able to view this in a very much different way. So something like this. So it actually shows you more details. So if you're not seeing it properly, you can be able to do that. So let me see. If I go back a bit, I have something like this. Okay, so I have, we're just going to bring it up, and I can't see exactly all the things there properly, but I'm going to try to create something that looks like this. So that thing that we'll have there, we can be able to put a loop cut somewhere here, select this part, and just press E, scale it in like that. And for the bottom part of it, I'm going to use my edge selection mode, select this part, and I'm going to scale it in like that to give it that V shape that it's actually having. So for that V shape is going the two ways, so I think I will need to use this one and just push it to that side. So I'm going to select this edge, this vertex here, this point. Let me go closer. Vertex point here, and push it this way. So now I can be able to select just this part, and I need to press E to extrude this out like this. So we'll have something that looks like that. Push it in, and then E, scale it in a bit. So I'm trying to create the hole that is there. There is actually a hole that is there. I'm going to create that, and then E again to extrude it out. Just a tiny bit. So if you look at here, there should be a hole in the center here before this one actually comes out. So we'll have something that looks like this. So other things that are there, I can't see that properly, so I'm going to just leave that for now. So just do some very simple designs there, and I'll just do something like this. Click S to scale it in, and then I'm going to push it inside. do another E, click to accept, S to scale it out, and E and just bring it out like that. So we'll have a very simple design like that, the V and the square at the top there. So for this top here, I'm going to enter into edit mode and select this part, hold shift and select all of them, and I want to be able to complete this, so I can do E and lock it on the z-axis, and I can be able to put this here. So if you look at here, you can actually bring this up like this, but if you look at here, there is a space here, and we're going to do what we call stitching, so we can stitch meshes together. So I'll use this vertex, select this vertex, and select this vertex, and I'll press M on my keyboard, M for main or main road, M, and then merge them. Sorry, I think that's the wrong one. I selected one, hold shift, select this last one, M at the center, so it will just merge both of them, so both of them are now operating as one object now. So right now we can just come in here, select all of this, select this, and that, and we can be able to push them backwards and bring them down like that. So for this thing that we have here, that's the steering for the tire, for the this ride, we can be able to just come in here and try to create it. Now this normally should have something going through here, although we cannot see that. So but we're going to actually imagine it and actually create it. So I'm going to start from here to create it. I'm going to just imagine it from here, and I'm going to do another shift D. So the reason why I always do shift D is so that when I start changing things, it's going to be easy for me to control whatever I'm changing. If you don't do that, sometimes if you select things, they will all be the same. So I have this, so I can just click, and I have this. I can even bring it down a bit, bring it just close here, and now I want to scale this up a bit like this. I think this is actually too much. Let me see how big it is. It's actually very big, so I'm going to just use only 2 here, shift D, and just use that too. You can scale it up a bit like this. So we can be able to extrude it up to that extent, and let's scale it inside, so we'll have something coming together like that. And then we can just do E again to bring this up. So we're trying to create this particular thing that we'll have here. So what we could do is, let me just bring this to this level. So there is a demarcation here. I'm going to obey and put another one at the top here, and lastly another one, E again, to extrude it to the top here. So I want to use this part for this extrusion here, while this part will be used to make here to a bit smooth. So you're going to actually see what I'm saying now. If I select here, I can just simply just extrude here. Now there's a problem here. Now if you look at what is happening, this part is a bit rounded, so we're not going to go to that extent. So we're going to just select here, and I think this goes back a bit this way, and we can rotate R, Z, and we can rotate on the Z axis to make it face that side. So we can just push this here. So if you want it to be a bit rounded, I think our this thing is actually off, so it should be able to make it rounded. If you look at what is happening, whenever we turn on our subdivision, you can actually see that it's going to make it rounded later. Let me show you that again to make it rounded. So we'll just leave it for now. So now I'm going to just come in here and press E to accept this and scale it down a bit. So you need to be doing distance to make it a bit more interesting. I'm going to push this inside. So we're going to be putting this rounded thing here. So there are some other details there. I think there is something like a break there that we can be able to add. Let me add it from outside. Let me see how this looks from here. Okay. If you want to add more, you can press Ctrl plus to select more of this, and you can be able to actually drag it out. So now let's go on to add the lights. We're going to come back to adding the other parts of it. Let's extrude this out a bit. So we can be able to select here. Now, I would advise that you select, you put a loop cut here so that it doesn't affect this edge here. And I'm going to select from here to here. I'm going to just extrude it out like this. Let me see if it's too much. I think that is much. Let's put a loop cut somewhere here and select from here to here. You can pull this out like this. Now, if you want this to be rounded, if you actually extrude it out like this, you see that this way is going to come out, and that's not what we want. We want it to be able to actually come out and have some kind of extrusion at this particular spot, but we want it to be rounded. So one of the things we could do to be rounded is that we can be able to select in edit mode, use a 3D cursor, select here, and I'm going to actually use a cylinder for this one. Scale it down. Let me see if cylinder will do that for us. This cylinder might have overlapping edges. So R, X, or rather Y, 90 degrees. So I'm going to pull this out like this. Fill it in. So if we look at it, if it doesn't give us, let me auto smooth this and see if it will blend in. And if it doesn't blend in, we have to do it directly from it. Let's see how we can be able to do that together. So we can be able to select this one now. And just press E to extrude it up. And once we extrude this up to somewhere here, this will actually serve as this part. So we can be able to use this part to select here and here and push it up to be able to blend it in with this particular part. So that's what we're trying to do. So over here to also do that. So that's the reason why we had to put a loop cut there, so that we can easily blend it in. So over here, to make it a bit more rounded, we can add some loop cuts to be able to curve it. So I can just do Ctrl R, put some loop cuts here, and we can select, let's also put some loop cuts here, and we can select this part and just pull them in. Let's pull these guys in. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, yep. Push it and just pull it in like this. So we'll have something that looks like this. So now I can be able to have something a bit more curvy, and I can leverage that to just select. I'm going to use my C. That's what we call C select. So you can select all these faces here. And once I extrude, I'm going to play some tricks here. Once I extrude, I'm going to just follow that part and scale it in like this. Let's scale it on this axis. So we're trying to maintain that roundedness of it. That's what we're actually trying to target. And now we can be able to do the rounded part. So I'm going to do E and scale it in. And I'm going to push it inside E now, and then push it inside. So I have something that looks like that. If you look at the top here, this part is not so curved, but like I told you, when we turn this on, it's going to be okay. It's not even as curved as we want it to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this part, put two loop cuts here, and I'm going to use my proportion editing to actually work on this. I'm going to select from here to here and use my proportion editing to actually pull it up. Let me scroll forward and let me just pull this up like this. Let's select this one too. So there are more automated ways of doing this. So but we're going to be using this thing here because we're trying to actually get to understand how to model things this way. So I'm going to just do it for the down one part too. So I have something that looks more like that. So by the time we actually add our subdivision more, we're going to have something a bit more rounded. So now to be able to add this part, the lights, so I'm going to just select that part, use my C select and select just all these parts in the center here. And then I'm going to do another E, and this time around, because I've brought it in, I'm going to just scale it in. Remove your proportion editing. I'm just going to scale it in like this. This will be a different parts of this thing because it's going to be a bit rounded. Do another E again and then scale it in like this. So we can leave it this way now. So we'll have something that looks like that. So even if this looks very tiny, we're going to increase the size later. So let's add this part. So this one, I will definitely have to use my cylinder for this, or rather let me use my circle. So I'll just scale down the circle and I'm going to rotate it RX90. So just bring it in here. Let me see. So if you encounter this kind of problem, the reason why it's doing that is because your clipping is turned on. So these are problems you could face. So what I'm going to do, I will turn off the clipping and I will scale it down like this. So if you see now, they are now separate circles now. So I'm doing that. If I press R X90, they will be separate still. Back then I will also bring back the clipping. Remember, the clipping is what is making it to be clipped together so that it doesn't separate when I move them apart. So but you see that it's causing a problem for me, so it's not allowing these two guys to separate. So I have to turn it off and then turn it back on again. So that's how you solve that problem. Now you can scale this down and I can press RZ and rotate it on this axis. Now when you have something like this, you see it's going to have a problem fitting here. So what I'm going to do, I'll allow it to be straight so that it's easy for me, although you can change your axis. So I'm just going to make it easy for me. So I'm going to use my vertex, my edge selection mode, press A to select, make sure I'm selecting this one, okay? If you deselect it by mistake, you can press Ctrl Z to go back to it. I'm going to press E, lock it on the Y axis, and I have this now. So I can press L over this to select all of it and scale this down. So I can just pull this inside here. So it's just scale it up more, a bit more like that. So for this, I think I have something that looks like over here. Let me just go back a bit. Over here, use your edge selection mode. I have an extrusion E, click accept, scale it out a bit, and then E to push it inside on the y-axis. So if you look at now, I'm doing this before I turn it. I'm just doing it straight right now. Then also you can select this part. Use your Alt, click here to select this. And now I can just quickly um, drag this out a bit like this. And I have E, click to accept, S to scale out a bit like that, and then E, click to accept and then drag it out like that. Then E, click to accept, S to scale it in. Now I'll do one more time, E again. Why I'm doing this is that when I add my subdivision modifiers, if I don't have enough loop cuts, they will become too rounded, and I don't want that. So I want them to be a bit strong. So I'm going to press M to bring them to the center now, and it covers this for me here now. So with this, I can just come in here, select this, L over this, and I can be able to push this inside to this place. R, Z, and I can be able to rotate it. Now, if you want to move this on this axis, I can always go to your local, and sometimes the normal is the best one. So the normal will actually allow you to, follow this normal that you have done. R, I think that should be X, like this. So the this point now, that's your transformational orientation has changed from global to normal. So it's following the normal of this particular object because of the way I have worked on it. So if you look at now, the axis has changed. So this will enable me to drag this straight like this and this one back like that, which you can do if you're actually in global. If you see in global, look at what it's going to be giving you. It's giving you something like this. So just know that whenever you have objects that you want to move in a certain way, you can check out changing this things. You can even use your view and change how you actually view them. So I have something that looks like this now. So let's see, we'll have that. So I'm going to just duplicate this to create a very simple kind of something that looks like a brick. I don't know if that's a brick, but I'm seeing something that looks like a sort of brick or whatever. Just scale this out. I think I'll also use my normals on this one. RX and just rotate it this way and just push it into that place. Something like this. So we'll have a very simple stuff like that. So to make this a bit bigger, we can just come in here and press L. So I'm pressing L over all these things, L over them. And now I can be able to just select this, and I'm going to change this to my global, and I can scale. Now if you scale, look at what it's doing for you. So you can be able to scale in different ways. So I think I'll just do it this way, rather. Scale, drag this out. So with this now, you can be able to see, you can be able to also scale it on this axis, like that. I think it's still small, so okay. So we'll have this here now, and the last thing we're going to do is we're going to select this back part to draw, to create the back of the lights. So I'll just do Shift D and drag this out a bit, just a tiny bit. E now, and just bring this out. Put some loop cuts on it. Select these two and just drag it out to create that back part of it. So we're going to complete this modeling in part 2 of this video. Alright, so see you in the next video.